I ever take this stuff out of the living room, the wife probably won't let me put it back in here, so.
Then you'll have to paint.
Yeah.
Paint camouflage.
My favorite color.
Please stand. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank everyone for the ones that are here and the ones that are out there watching. We appreciate you taking part in your city's business meeting. The first order of business is my report, and I will start with that. There are three things I'd like to talk about tonight. The first has to do with COVID-19 pandemic. We have been spared for the most part. We have not seen the disastrous results that other cities have. We have had 2 cases and neither is still active. Our citizens are struggling with the restrictions placed on them by our governor and health department. Most people understand that healthcare professionals and other advisors to the governor believe these rules are for our best interest. I do not believe that there is any active conspiracy by either our governor or our health department to take away our personal freedoms. Conspiracy theories abound, but I don't think they're relevant in Herrmann, Missouri. I don't think our governor is the kind of person that would stand for that. I think this virus is dangerous and that we are well advised to follow the governor's orders to maintain a safe 6-foot distance when possible, to avoid crowds and to avoid all unnecessary travel. The second thing I want to talk about is our Herrmann Economy. The retail section of our economy has performed extremely well in light of the almost non-existent tourism sector. Our city sales tax collections from non-tourism related sales are exactly where they were for the same period last year. And remember, last year was a record year. I think they're $700 down out of $230 some odd thousand. Our supermarkets, lumberyard, dollar store, Orscheln's, other retail establishments are booming. People are buying locally, and that is very much appreciated by all of our local merchants. Lodging tax is far below last year's level, which is to be expected, but that is not money the city can spend. That goes to promote tourism. I think it is too early to say that we will be as well off on sales tax as we were last year. I would be surprised if we were, but this is extremely encouraging. The third thing I want to talk about are special interest groups. I have repeatedly warned the city about these groups and how they organize and spend money to promote their own best interest. This is not just here. Every place in the country has special interest groups. Some are very good and benevolent and so forth. But the same special interest groups that fought hard in opposition to our guest safety ordinance seems to be involved in our current status, our current situation. They serve the same purpose as a political party, but we don't have those in municipal elections in Missouri. I am urging all 4 candidates to restrict the activities of their political supporters from any illegitimate or unethical behavior. The same thing happened during the last election, and I made the same plea. It's not just these folks. I don't think my opponent had any idea at that time what was going on. I think she was perfectly in the clear on that. If you allow shenanigans, it will probably be held against you at the polls in June. Other items. Work on the AT&T cell tower continues. The construction crew encountered rock just below the surface and had to dig through it. The extra step cost them over a week's time, and they are now behind schedule. They're still working on it. I think they lost a few days to rain. Our election is still scheduled for June 2nd. Anyone, especially seniors, that are worried about going to the polls because of COVID-19 should use the absentee ballot and vote from home. If you need instructions, you can call the Gasconade County Clerk for details. Some of the candidates may also provide a ride at the polls. That's all I have for tonight. Mark?
Okay. I received the preliminary schedule for the airport apron reconstruction. As of now, the plans will be submitted to MoDOT on May 26th, with construction to start sometime after that, after MoDOT reviews the plans. As the mayor mentioned, construction on the cell tower continues. I was up there today, the foundation is poured. And I think after that cures a while, the next step will be the actual structure going in there. Our water storage tanks are being washed out and inspected per DNR regulations. New water line was installed on West 18th Street with great cooperation between the water and the street departments. Robert Sitton has started his duties as the ordinance enforcement officer on May 1st. And the DNR water engineering grant is wrapping up with the engineering firm answering a few questions from DNR before final payment is made. That's it.
Okay. Yeah, I borrowed that, thank you. Okay, for ordinances, Dave, can you go through those?
First is bill number 2020-09 on for second reading. It would be an ordinance to approve a Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission airport aid agreement.
I move it second read.
I'll second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion is carried.
Next is bill number 2020-10, an ordinance to authorize the execution of a contract for solid waste collection and disposal by and between the city of Herrmann, Missouri and Tri-County Trucking and Excavating, Inc.
We have a motion for that one.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion's carried.
And bill number 2020-11 on for first reading, an ordinance to revise Herrmann Municipal Code Section 710.020 sewer service rates.
Okay, is this the one we talked about, where's Trish there? This is the same one we talked about, okay. Is there any other discussion?
No, I'm sorry, I think what we wanted to talk about is that we rounded, our computer system only takes 4 digits.
Right.
And so we had in the first draft of the ordinance 0040, but in order to get the amount of money we need to round up 0 to a 1.
Right, I think it was, turned out it was 004067 something.
Oh,
But we can't say all that.
738, right.
And so it has to be either 0040 or 0041, and we need the
And the 0 is
41.
gonna end us several thousand dollars shy.
Right. Do we have a motion to accept this?
I move that bill 2020-11 be first read.
I'll second it.
A motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion's carried. Dave, you want to cover the resolution too?
Yes. Resolution number 1283 would be a resolution to authorize the execution of a business lease agreement by and between the city of Herrmann, Missouri, lessor, and Wilbert and Donna, I'm never sure of this name, is it LeBray?
LeBray.
Okay. Kurt and Nicole LeBray, lessee, for Lot 1 on West 8th Street.
Okay, and which lot is this? The one,
car wash.
that's the one, the car wash.
No, it's back behind the dealership where they park cars.
Oh, okay,
Got the car wash itself behind it.
Yep.
okay.
That's a buyout lot, isn't it?
Yes.
Mhm, yep. Okay, do I have a motion to accept this?
I make a motion to accept it.
Second.
A motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion is carried. Do we have any old business?
I do.
Okay,
The last meeting I talked to you guys about the problems with the parking here in town and our current ordinance, and its current condition isn't really doing what it needs to do. I shot you guys some ideas. Jim had actually a very good suggestion about the dumpsters and requiring a permit and a time limit to have them on the streets. Did you guys think about this at all? Have any ideas? what might improve this, or I had something wrong, or?
I like the idea of putting time limits on it so that everybody knows what's going on.
Well, if you guys have any other suggestions, I'm gonna sit down and try and write this up. I'm gonna talk to the chief and ordinance enforcement officer about it, see if I can get something working that you guys will get before it goes to the lawyer, so you can look it over. So we don't come in here and it's just a draft and here we got it. You know, we wanna make sure this is going, we can discuss it before we go that far. Do you all have a problem with me doing that?
No problem.
Okay, and that's all I need to hear.
Okay, is there any other old business?
I'd like to bring old business up, refers to section 500.020, it's housing and building numbers. This was originally written back in 1969. And what I've noticed that there's a lot of buildings and homes that does not have numbering on it, which is really hurting our first responders, whether it be fire department, police, ambulance, from helping to locate that building right away. And my suggested change here, currently it calls for 2.5-inch tall numbers to be on the front of the building. I would like to change that to 3, and the reason it's not a whole lot of difference, but I did check with the local business people. They don't have 2.5-inch size numbers, but they do have 3- and 4-inch numbers. So they are readily available within the city of Herrmann. Then also it would be in contrasting color, meaning if you have a light colored home, to use dark numbers. And also you'll have some that's got, like my house is 1109, some of them have written it out in lettering 1109. That's fine, but it should be in contrasting numbers. I know also, if we agree to do this, since this is an old ordinance, the ordinance does specify it's the property owner and or the occupant to get the numbering established upon the dwelling. So I would like to see if we agree with this when we get the help of correcting that, to have this inserted in a monthly mailing of your utility bills that would get into the hands of everybody that has utilities in Herrmann.
Oh, quick question. The people that already have the smaller numbers, would they have to upgrade to the bigger numbers?
I would,
If it's an ordinance.
Okay, I'm just, I mean, it's just, people are in compliance now. If you change
What you
this,
do before you move too far, I think if you're going to do this, you raise it to 4-inch so it's visible, because a lot of houses sit back far enough off the roadway. But what I would do is check with the BOCA code, builder's code.
well, this is the city code
I know it's a
500.
city code, but what I'm saying is either National Fire Code or the building code, and see what they recommend on new construction and try and be the same of what is already established
I
out.
think when Susan had the write-up with the guest houses, I believe we specified 4 inches.
We did.
Well, I'm just saying to be uniform across
Yeah.
the board is all I'm recommending.
That would be another reason to update it, because I think I
Yeah.
remember 4
Well,
inches.
2.5 is probably kind of small.
that's not very big.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Especially if you have these.
What's that? What size is that you got?
This is, actually, I went to purchase them, that's a 3-inch size, and this is a 4-inch size.
Yeah, 4 inches the size I bought.
Yeah,
I would look for 4.
Right.
And be consistent
Okay.
with it.
That's why I'd say if we go with the minimum of 3, so they could go higher than that, or you say the minimum of 4.
I would recommend 4, but that's.
I think
Well, I
that would be the
think
better way to go. If we're gonna change it, let's
That's-
make sure it's.
Actually, what I wrote down was 4, and that's, well, maybe 3.
seems
it
like to be
says-
consistent and to match the codes that we need to, then it's
Well, that's all
4.
I'm saying, yeah.
And we're consistent and there should be
You're
less
not
confusion.
familiar offhand with the fire code, what the,
The numbers?
yeah.
No. Sorry, I can't
You
help
don't
with
know
that
out
off
all
the top of my
10,000
head, no.
numbers?
And it said the owner or the occupant,
Yep, that's what it,
so what if you don't do it? Who gets in?
it shall be the duty of the owners and occupants of
Owners
every
and, okay.
building hereunto to have placed thereupon in a visible place from the streets, figures at least 2.5 inches showing the number of the building, any person, firm, or corporation failing to do so, any house, building, or other structure occupied by him or it after receiving to do so from the clerk shall continue in his or its failure to number such house, building, or structure shall be fined $1 for each day during or which a failure to do so continues. So it's the owner and occupant to get them erected.
Okay, so all you really need to do on that, if you like that, is change the size to 4, I suppose, and that would be what you
Like I
need.
said, I would like to see put contrasting color in there.
Okay,
So if you got a white house, you put up white numbers.
just write that in there.
Just to be clear, so obviously the people who don't have numbers, we want them to get numbers and we want them to be 4 inches. But all the hundreds and thousands of other houses in town all need to upgrade to 4 inches.
Mhm. Even though there's not hundreds of thousands, but,
No, not hundreds of thousands, hundreds or thousands.
oh, 100 or that, I got you. Never mind.
Anyways, a lot of people that have to go out and change their numbers, some of them, of course, are, you know, you can think of every variety of situation, elderly people or whatever.
Right.
You want to make that active the first of the year, Jim, give everybody time to do it?
Well, I think we'll probably have some people that won't do it anyhow, so, you know, you're talking here as a big expenditure, $2.29. So if
But I
you
think
got,
for some people hanging it, you know, you have to nail them on and be a certain height. Yeah, I'm just saying that may be more of an issue for some people.
Well, isn't 90 days long enough to drive some nails in there? And
Well, and some people have metal signs that have them made with them on there too, that have them attached.
Why don't we give it till the end of the year?
Okay.
6 months.
Hope there's not a fire in the meantime.
No.
you know, I hope somebody is not experiencing
A heart
cardiac
attack.
arrest.
Yeah.
And the ambulance can't find the house number, or the house is on fire, and the fire truck said, well, we can't find 230.
They know.
I don't think we really have a big problem with that, but we always seem to get
Yeah,
that.
we got very fortunate, a lot of good homegrown boys here that knows the town, or men. So it's easy to go, but I think we should update it at 1969 when that was made, and this is 2020, so. We go to 4 inches and
51 years.
I'm good with 4 inches.
I like 4.
Bruce, you like 4? You said he did. so-
well, I'll research too if I can find the fire codes and make sure on that, and I'll have it back.
Well, check with the building inspector on his building code, the national building code, see what it states in there,
Yeah,
and
leave
go
it
by
alone.
that.
He'll know, he knows. Okay,
One other thing I was gonna mention, it's old business, you know, we had talked about, social distancing and whatnot, and our reference went back, was rereading the outdoor seating permits that we issue, and there was a thing that popped out I really wasn't aware of, I mean, I guess I was, but didn't bring forward, but in there, it does says there shall be no cooking or any fire apparatus in that outdoor seating. I know we do have places that actually has live grilling and bratwurst going and hamburgers, and I know.
does it
one
say
has
cooking or fire?
no cooking,
Okay.
the exact words, and fire apparatus, which I know we have one that has propane torches in front of when the weather.
That's decorative though.
It's a fire apparatus, so.
Got a point.
So that's something what we should, I think, look at and make sure they understand when they do have outdoor seating, that they can't be doing that either. I know Mark in the county health department and Bob Sitton went around and talked to them, and this is a changing world right now, and that might be something that we need to address with them.
Okay. All right, any other old business? Thanks. Dave? Any new business? We have the board meeting. I'll just go with that. The next board meeting will be Tuesday, May 26th, due to Memorial Day. And so that will take care of that. It's just a forewarning on what we're doing. And then, I don't know if there's any other new business or not. Any alderman and alder lady over here? New business? New business?
I know I've had a call from a couple citizens, and hopefully the city property there, the Upper City Park, it was evidently rented out for a family gathering or whatnot, but the citizen called and voiced a concern because there was a large crowd of people up there, and the social distancing was not being observed. So I don't know if when it's rented out, do we advise them?
We told them.
I knew campgrounds, they had a campfire going, everybody was peaceful, there was no disturbance, and it's,
No, we called them and told them they had to do social distancing, and they said they would, they had it all planned out, so we told them.
there's something else, we had an email, kind of ties in with that, is we could, for our city attorney, Dave Lee, adopt an ordinance giving the HPD the authority to enforce the governor's social distancing order. And also, we could just leave it as it is because it falls underneath the state order, which could go through the circuit court. Or the other option we had in there was to revoke a license if there is infractions there.
I appreciate that, but I would like, this is just me now, but I certainly would like us to give people every opportunity to comply with governor's orders and not threaten people. I think most all people will do what they're supposed to do anyway, of their own volition. And the people you try to force, they won't do it anyway. So I think we should just leave it like it is and try to convince them to do the right thing.
And not go to the expense of an ordinance. I mean, this is something that's gonna pass, we hope. So, you know.
Right, and we don't really need it. I think Dave has looked into it. If we have to write a summons, which I would say is, if possible, we would have to, but it's not something we're planning for. We already can write that, and we can write it, Dave, we can write it on, to appear in the circuit court if we want to, from what I understand. So I don't think we need to
I
do
think
anymore.
most people in general are trying to do the best they can. I've eaten out twice now at restaurants. They've got tables wrapped around where you can't sit. People even on the street. I've been open for 3 days now. Everybody has been very courteous of other people. And these aren't local people, most of them. So I think everybody's aware, but you're always gonna have that handful that, well, you know, I don't have to do that. So, but to go through the expense of the ordinance and to, I mean, the guidelines are from the governor, and you follow that the best you can. That's my feeling on it.
That's what I thought. I mean, that's what I tried to say.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what some of those I know years ago through Patrol Academy, they said there is a spirit, there's a difference between the spirit of the law and the letter of the law. In this case, I think we should take the spirit of the law, saying, hey, please, keep a distance. If you don't feel comfortable, then stay away from
If we
everybody.
find a guy that's licking the toothpaste boxes in the BP store like that lunatic, then cuff him. But in the meantime, let's try and talk to him first. Okay.
We can
anything-
leave that alone as it is.
I think we're good. Actually, I talked to Dave today, and I think that we're safeguarded, and I like to fall back on the governor's rules and not have us to make rules if we don't have to.
Well, I agree with Bruce. People are trying very, very, very hard to comply. You're always gonna have a couple who think that it doesn't apply to them, and that's fine, but the last thing we need is a harsh crackdown on people right now. There are a lot of tense, very aggravated people, and we don't need to throw gasoline on that fire. So,
I don't think we will, Dave, and I appreciate you.
And we are doing everything according to the law and according to what the governor says. In the park and everywhere else, I know some people were upset about that, but we are all doing what we're supposed to be doing.
It's kind of hard to keep kids playing basketball, which they're not supposed to be playing basketball, but let's say playing baseball or soccer or chasing each other on bicycles and not get more than 6 feet apart. So they're having fun and they're local and we don't have that many cases here. I just say, let's take it one step at a time, but just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. So, if that's enough of that, then I'd like to move on. We have citizen comments. We have a card here from Brian. I don't know where you go. Watch your step, though. You can only be 6 feet from.
I'll move this up in the middle there.
State your name and.
Brian
know you.
Shorley, 238 West 6th Street.
Everybody's gonna get a real good view of your bald spot.
That's right. So we had there was the budget meeting on Friday, and I just was looking through some of the numbers since this is the first chance I had to look through them, and I just wanted to make a few comments and a couple proposals that I would suggest. On the electric fund, it starts out and it finishes up with 1.345 million as the anticipated ending balance. And about 6 years ago is when we increased the meter fee as a stopgap to stop the bleeding while we figured out the rates. Well, we haven't really figured out the rates yet. And with that much of an ending balance, I think there's enough there to have a $15 fee reduction in the $30 fee. If you look at it, if you have a balanced electric budget and don't go into any more than your revenue is, then you would have 7 years to figure out the rate before you lose the surplus or the anticipated ending balance. And in order to help that fund too, it looks like the self-insurance fund is going to have about 130,000 added to that. So you're going to have a 770,000 balance in the insurance fund. Well, I know from experience now there's at least 2 or 3 companies in the state that will insure the poles in the line, and so I think the city can look into that, and that could also be, if there is insurance available and it's agreeable to get it, then that fund could also be helped offset any reduction in revenue from the meter fee reduction. So, if you don't feel like 15 is too much to do, if you did a $10 reduction, that would give you 10 years of a balanced budget to figure out how to increase the rates to make up for that revenue. And then also, similar thing for the gas. That fee is only, I think, $9.50, but there's an ordinance that it goes up $1 every year at budget time. So now would be the time. There's a clause in there, if I remember right, Dave, I don't know if you remember our meter fee ordinance, but I think there's a clause in there that at the beginning of every budget year, the alderman can choose to stop that or hold that fee from going up $1 for that year until the next year. So I would propose that to at least freeze it for this year and then maybe even go back to $8 or something like that on the meter fee, because there's over $1 million in the gas fund, and I think there's only 900 or 1,000 gas meters, and so you're only talking $12,000 per dollar fee. So my suggestion would be, because in this time there's a lot of people struggling, and at the same time this was kind of something that we had promised to do 6 years ago, is to figure out the rates and reduce that fee back down on the electric side. So my suggestion would be just to look into the insurance part of it on the poles and the wire, and then reduce the electric meter fee by $15, and then at least put a hold or a freeze this year on the increase in the gas meter, and possibly go back to $8. Just to give the citizens some relief. I know in campaigning that's at least the number one or number 2 issue when you talk to people is they want to know what's happening with the meter fee. They want to know why their utilities are high, that type of thing, which is the same issue we've been dealing with for years and years. But I think at this time, we've built up enough reserves in the electric fund to be able to do this and give us some time to address the rates. And if you don't do it, I think has the equivalent of just kicking the can down the road. If you do reduce the fee, that starts the clock ticking of, okay, we need to figure out how we're going to replace that revenue with adjusting the rates the way they need to be adjusted. So anyway, and I know with the BAI study coming out that there'll be a lot of information there to look at as well, as far as where they think your funds need to be or the rates need to be, that type of thing. So, but anyway, looking through those numbers, I think there's enough money there to reduce the meter fees and do something good for the citizens that are hurting right now.
Thank you. Does that conclude your remarks?
Yep.
Okay.
Anybody have any
Good.
questions or anything?
No, I think the BAI report, when it comes out, will give us the reserve amounts that they recommend we have. And then that'll tell us basically, do we need more, do we need less?
When will that come out?
Well, I'm expecting it now, anytime. So I'll call on it and see where it stands, but that's not a difficult test. I think we've supplied information to that fellow, so. We okay?
I was just conferring with Mark on what Jesse had advised us about the electric. Jesse said that he doesn't recommend reducing anything, even though it looks like a lot of money, because MQA is going to be restructuring our rates in May 22, and we don't know, as you know, sometimes when they redo it, it can impact us really terribly. And he said all that money could be lost in a year or two. So he was just holding off on when to do anything with the rates. It was his suggestion until that new rate structure is introduced and we knew how it would impact us.
Well, I think that the proposal that MPUA has given us would actually produce more revenue for the city. And it's just not just a few cents, but quite a bit. So we don't know though, and we don't know what's going to happen. So I think BAI's report is important because we don't know if it's gone up a lot in the last 8 years or 10 years. We might need more in reserve. I don't know.
I think that's what we're anticipating.
Right.
Well, until we get the results of those two reports, speculating on this is just that speculation.
It just takes time and we don't know.
Yeah.
And then
So-
are we worried about gas rates because of the,
We have done a little hedging on the gas rate for next winter.
and we're not raising people's rates right now, even though,
No.
And I think what Susan's saying there is that even though we're being charged extra money now for
Oh, that-
transmission,
That
we
is-
have not raised the rates to people. We're eating that
Right,
in anticipation of getting that money back
right.
because we think we're confident we're going to win that. And so we didn't make adjustments because we are confident that we would just have to turn around and readjust the adjustment. So there's that. And then I think the rates on gas, you know that gasoline, if you look at what it costs, refinery capacity and so forth, and there's a big war between Saudi Arabia and the Russians on how cheap they can sell gas. And I think that our expert has bought some contracts at cheaper rates to hedge the cost of gas for next year. So we're not asleep at the switch. I think we're doing what we can.
But somebody help me understand this better. So even if we change the rate though, should we leave our service fee the same? Because I mean, the board, when Brian was just on there, you guys just raised it then and decided we needed to get up to industry standard because we were so far behind, and that's why we decided to do it incrementally, $1 a year until we got up to the industry standard.
That's
and we
correct.
need to do it again.
Instead of hitting it all at one time,
I
we
think-
decided to raise
So, I
it a
mean, I
little
know
bit
the rates
every
will
year.
fluctuate, but the meter fee should
Yeah.
maybe stay standard.
And even
That's
then,
what I-
by the time.
Well, we're
we-
still too low.
Yeah, by the time period we had, by the time we got to where we wanted to be when we started this, we were gonna still be lower than everybody else.
Well, after the whole thing was
Yeah.
said and done, we'd be where they are now.
Yeah.
In 10 years. So, that's a little different than the electric $30 fee that was slapped in there.
Well,
were
once we
losing-
get the results of those two reports, we
I
can
agree,
discuss it.
I agree. We need more information.
I took a quick pin to this and based upon an estimated 1,300 electric customers somewhere in that neighborhood. And if you drop it down, I'd done this a year ago looking at it, I just figured $5. If we go 15, that's gonna cost the city about $234,000 a year by reducing it 15
I
bucks.
think it's maybe less, but it's a lot. I won't argue with you on that.
In 4 or 5 years, that's over $1 million.
Yeah.
That's how you get rid of your surplus.
Well, I'm not sure that, if Mr. Shirley meant to let it forever, but
Well, that's
it
just
would be
1 year.
possible during this, COVID-19, because people are having a hard time, that we make some adjustments. But the main adjustment, I think, we need to get the numbers, so we even talk about it.
Yes,
But we've been talking about it for a long time,
but we still haven't got
and
that.
we haven't done it, and we haven't got the numbers, and Jesse's very conservative and so forth. So he does have the ability to make forecasts, and they're very accurate ones. So anyway, thank you, Brian. Those are good suggestions. We appreciate it. Okay, we have some minutes that we need to decide what to do with. What you suggest.
Second?
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The minutes are accepted. Invoices for payments. Bruce?
Yes,
Motion approved.
What about the invoices?
I make a motion to pay them.
Thank you.
Now second.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Just giving you your chance. You're always in there. Reappoint Deborah Smith and Jeff Schmidt to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Didn't we just put Debbie on there?
Yeah, but she was only for part of a term.
Oh, she was filling out.
Right.
Okay. I move to approve.
I'll second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Welcome aboard. Hire lifeguards for the 2020 pool season.
I make a motion to approve the lifeguards and assistant managers.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Lifeguards and manager are hired. Conditional use permit renewal, Mary Brunel and Stacy Buskin, Barbara Stable, 122 East 4th Street. Liquor sales for outdoor consumption and outdoor seating permit renewal.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion's carried. Conditional use permit renewal, Alex Timmy, Concert Hall and Barrel, 206 East 1st Street, liquor sales for outdoor consumption.
I have a question on that one. I know the bank bar, they can only have people outside, is it till 10 or 11?
I believe so, yeah.
Well, this one says 11 a.m. to late every day. Shouldn't we have it be the same as other places? that
I
have
assume,
hours?
I think the bank bar, when they filled out their application, they're the ones that said they weren't
And the
gonna have
reason-
anything after that
The
time.
reason the bank bar does it is because they have guests upstairs. That's why they close their bar at 11 o'clock on the inside,
Okay.
because they don't want the noise.
But they're outside too, don't they?
Yeah, what do all the other ones do?
So the limit we have, Susan, isn't on, the time outside, it's on music being turned off.
That's
Oh,
right.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
10 o'clock.
yeah, like I said, the
10
bank
o'clock,
bar,
that's what it is.
that
They
time,
set their own,
those hours were their picking, you know,
Okay.
no, we didn't do that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
As long as they're sitting out there quietly fenced in, it's not a problem.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve.
Now second.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion is carried. We have no closed session tonight, and we can adjourn if you want to, or we can carry on.
Move to adjourn.
That's what I thought.
Second.
And a motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Good night. Bruce, I get teed up there.
Yep.
That's your job, you
I
know.
refer to them less and less.
Let's pay the
because of all
bills.
the emails and everything on
Sure.
your system.
You done with
I
my
got 3
backup?
reminders of that.
Are you done with my backup pin?
Yes, I am. Where'd you get that?
People say
say
he's
you're
back.
probably You're probably the one putting all the money
Ain't
in
even
over
seeing
there.
any critters on the road tonight.
That's why I have a backup.
No, not too bad.
Well, I thought I
Don't
had-
want to head into my brother's
My
house
ladder.
here last Saturday morning at 4 o'clock in the morning.